2 years ago, a catastrophic explosion erupted on a dark highway, forever changing a young man's life. Our protagonist, bloodied and distraught, found himself trapped in the fiery wreckage of a family car. Yet, he awoke not in a hospital, but in a vibrant, sun-drenched forest of an entirely different world. There, amidst a desolate, burning landscape, the young man transformed into a formidable hero clad in dark armor. He completed the divine mission, standing victorious over a colossal, defeated beast. His reward was the ability to freely traverse between his home and this mystical realm, a request granted by a wise older figure. For him, this other world was a place of unexpected warmth and comfort. It evoked a profound sense of belonging and a deep, undeniable longing. Back in his original world, emergency services swarmed the highway, tending to the devastating aftermath of the crash. Our hero now lies bandaged in a hospital bed, the memories of both worlds etched into his weary face. Our protagonist and his sibling were the sole survivors of the devastating crash. The two brothers stood solemnly at the funeral, mourning the loss of their parents. While one brother remained stoic, the other openly grieved the profound tragedy. Yet the protagonist found himself back in the other world, battling colossal beasts once more. He repeatedly returned, honing his skills against formidable foes. Each visit saw him fulfilling divine requests, facing increasingly diverse and powerful threats. Through these brutal trials, the hero carved his path. He earned the title of the god's contractor, a formidable warrior in this mystical realm. Back in his other world, he found moments of quiet contemplation amidst the serene landscapes. His movements were now swift, precise, and clean, a testament to his newfound abilities. The old man strolls through the carnage, questioning the contractor's methods. He addresses our hero by name for the first time. Contractor Young-won. The kid just casually swings his feet, sitting atop the colossal beast. He looks down at his client from his high perch, a calm smile on his face. He admits that things got a little rough down there. The old man can only agree, surveying the absolute devastation. He then moves on to the matter of payment, asking if money will suffice this time. But from his throne of victory, Young-won gives a simple, firm no. This time, he has a very different kind of reward in mind. For all his work, all he wants is his retirement. The old man, taken aback by this sudden request, asks for a reason. Young-won explains that it's time to look after his brother and finally live his own life. And to his surprise, the old man seems to understand completely. Young-won is the one who's shocked now, questioning the easy acceptance. His client simply says that while he's grateful, they'll just find another hero. And with a simple nod, the god's contractor officially clocks out. Back in his own world, he settles into a life of quiet normalcy, until his brother arrives, placing a meal on the table for him. Young-won barely moves, still glued to his phone. But the peace is broken by questions about school and his future. 2 years ago, his brother questioned Young-won's lack of ambition regarding university. This was around the time the catastrophic highway explosion had first made him a hero in another world. Lying bandaged in a hospital bed, Young-won learned he and his brother were the sole survivors. The profound tragedy made the world feel as if it were collapsing around his grieving brother. Overwhelmed, Young-won desperately wished to escape the pain and go back to the other realm. He longed to return to that burning landscape and reclaim the sense of freedom he felt as a hero. He yearned to experience that heroic feeling just one more time, a stark contrast to his current reality. Back in the present, sitting across from his brother, Young-won realized the gods had stopped answering his calls. He looked intently at his brother, a strange question forming in his mind. Young-won wondered why he could smell the other world on his brother, as his sibling urged him to go to college. Young-won's mind races, wondering if his brother had also visited the other world. His eyes widen in a sudden realization as his brother's voice cuts through his thoughts. Startled, Young-won quickly dismisses his brother's question, resuming his meal. His brother Yoon sighs, clarifying he wants Young-won to find his passion, not just study. Young-won looks down, internally questioning what he's even supposed to do now. Yoon looks back, surprised by Young-won's sudden, uncharacteristic response. Young-won's frustration boils over, thinking about his brother's silence for the past 2 years. He silently questions where Yoon was during his own struggles and pain. Young-won's inner voice screams that he was busy surviving in another world. Yoon pushes back his chair, the tension in the room now palpable. Yoon explains he's trying to make an effort, questioning his brother's coldness. Young-won's gaze remains fixed, a silent accusation in his eyes. He remembers a time when their arguments were about simple things like cleaning up, but now he asks what his brother's true intentions are. He stands to clear his dishes, but his attention is drawn elsewhere. A sudden, chilling realization flashes across his face. He moves to the sink, trying to process his thoughts. It all clicks into place. That jacket always carried the scent of the other world. He knows with a sinking feeling that he needs to confirm his suspicions. And the key to everything is hanging right there on the back of a chair. With his mind made up, he reaches for the jacket. But as he slips it on, his brother's voice cuts through the silence, asking where he's going. Young-won believes that if he wears these clothes, the gods will mistake him for his brother. This is his chance, his one opportunity to go back to the other world. Yoon watches him leave, a flicker of concern in his eyes. 3 days pass with no word. Yoon sits alone in the apartment, trying desperately to reach his brother. But every call goes straight to voicemail, and a dark thought begins to form in his mind. He wonders if his brother's disappearance has anything to do with them. A sudden surge of divine energy confirms his worst fears with a chilling admission. A divine presence confirms that Young-won is currently in the other world. Yoon's expression hardens, his gaze fixed and unyielding. The old man stands before him, admitting that this situation requires an explanation. He takes Yoon back 2 years, to the day of the fiery car crash. He reveals that in that moment of tragedy, Yoon was also summoned to the other realm. There, he became a warrior known as the Hero of Melancholy. The old man explains that Yoon, just like his brother, wished to return. But Yoon questions why that was a burden, when Young-won traveled freely for 2 years. The divine client clarifies that Young-won was chosen by the world itself, not by them. And more importantly, they have no idea what problems such repeated visits could cause. The old man reveals that for the past 2 years, they've intentionally ignored Yoon's existence. But today, something or someone finally took notice of him. Yoon scoffs, asking if this is all because his brother wore his jacket. The client confirms the clothes were the trigger, but he suspects a deeper cause is at play. This catches Yoon's attention, who presses him for more information. The old man points to the real problem, Young-won's retirement. Yoon sighs in frustration, reminding him it's only been a month since his brother quit. But the client reveals a critical detail. 1 month on Earth is nearly a year in their world. Yoon realizes the implication, that someone was waiting for his brother to step down. And as proof, the old man says that all sorts of problems began the moment Young-won left. The old man confirms with a grave expression that Young-won is now one of those problems. Yoon's eyes narrow, deciding he just needs to find whoever is causing all this trouble. But the client explains it's not that simple, mentioning a mysterious contamination. He begins his story 3 days ago on Earth, which was a full month in their world. On the day Young-won returned, a strange phenomenon they call contamination began to spread. At its center is the hero of melancholy, young Yoon, and this blight follows wherever he goes. Yoon asks if he can simply follow this trail to find his brother, but the old man tells him it's far more complicated. The contamination doesn't just hide a person's tracks. It's beginning to affect the powerful lords of this realm. It's a plague that is spreading through the very fabric of their world, reaching all the way up to the gods themselves. Yoon sits in silence, processing the fact that this contamination is tied to his brother. He clarifies that to find Young-won, he's expected to solve all these problems. But his frustration finally boils over, demanding to know why he should clean up their mess. The client reveals a terrifying truth. Soon, the time between Earth and their world will synchronize. Yoon questions if that's even possible, but the old man says that's precisely why he came to him. He looks Yoon dead in the eye, telling him this is what his brother is doing. He reveals a horrifying vision of monsters pouring into a city from glowing rifts. Down below, the city is a war zone, with citizens running in terror from the invading beasts. The skies themselves are blotted out by swarms of winged monstrosities. Stunned, Yoon can only ask if his brother, Young-won, is responsible for all this. The client explains that a gate of this scale is something no one in their world can create. So Yoon makes an offer. Give him back his retired powers, and he'll fix this. But the old man reveals the contamination prevents them from fully restoring his strength. Yoon grows frustrated, realizing they're admitting they can't do anything to help. The client confirms that, for the moment, there's no way to intervene. However, he reveals they have prepared their own contingency plan. And with that cryptic message, the old man simply vanishes. Back on Earth, the invasion is in full swing as monsters terrorize a crowded street. Yoon watches the chaos, wanting to intervene as people flee for their lives. But he knows that without his powers, charging in would be suicide. Yoon makes a decision. He'll deal with the invasion on Earth, but only after he brings his brother back. His first step is to get to the other world and find a way to regain his lost powers. With his mind made up, he pushes off the ground and starts running. It doesn't take long for him to spot what he's looking for, a shimmering blue gate. But he quickly assesses the situation, noticing the monsters nearby. Two hulking orcs and a smaller goblin are blocking his path. He believes he can outrun them if he just goes all out. The monsters immediately spot him, their gazes locking onto their new target. He sprints towards the portal, the beasts giving chase right behind him. With a grim expression, he pushes himself harder, knowing that to stop now means certain death. But his path is suddenly blocked by a hulking figure. Yoon's eyes widen in disbelief, recognizing the creature before him. It's an orc, a monster straight from the other world. And of all the times for one to appear, it had to be now. The beast raises its massive club, preparing to strike him down. With no powers, Yoon questions if he can even dodge the blow. He plants his foot and throws himself to the side, a desperate gamble. The club smashes into the ground, missing him by inches. He lands hard but is alive, having successfully evaded the attack. Now all that's left is to make it to the shimmering portal ahead, but just as he reaches the gate, a brutal blow sends him flying. He's thrown headfirst through the shimmering blue portal. The gate collapses behind him, sealing his entry into the other world. He crashes onto the hard, rocky ground, gasping for air. He pushes himself up, desperately hoping he made it through in time. His first thought is to get moving before the monsters can follow. But when he turns back, he finds only a solid wall of rock. The portal he just entered has completely vanished. In all his time as a hero, he's never seen anything like this. A chilling thought crosses his mind. This must be the work of the contamination. He imagines himself as he once was, a hero standing ready with his sword and a familiar blue aura. He remembers the sheer force he could unleash with a single strike, and how he effortlessly cut through hordes of monsters in his prime. But that was a month ago. Now he's just a man wandering through a dark, empty cave. The torn fabric of his shirt reveals the bruised skin beneath, a painful reminder of his new reality. Yoon clutches his back, the impact from the orc's attack finally catching up to him. He doesn't think he's badly hurt, but knows that in his current state, even one orc would be a fatal encounter. The grim realization sinks in. He'd forgotten what it was like to be a regular person. But his fear is quickly replaced by a sharp, focused determination. He ducks behind a large rock, knowing that for now, survival means staying hidden. He cautiously peers out from his hiding spot. He listens intently, counting the approaching footsteps. Based on their light steps, he deduces they must be small. A patrol of torch-bearing creatures marches through the cavern. Just as he suspected, it's a small group of goblins. He knows they're fast, but believes he can take them on, as long as he can keep his distance and pick his moments. But instead of waiting, he explodes from cover with a brutal first strike. A powerful kick sends the first goblin flying backwards. The creature tumbles across the stone floor, another already down for the count. But a much larger threat emerges from the shadows, its eyes glowing with malice. He sees the remaining goblins guarding some kind of altar in the center of the cavern. Yoon catches his breath, wondering where they could have possibly come from. He's certain there were no other paths leading into this chamber. A sudden, unsettling realization begins to dawn on him. He looks back the way he came, only to find a solid wall of rock. The path he just took has vanished, leaving him completely trapped. Before he can process it, another goblin charges forward, swinging its club. He grits his teeth in frustration, cursing his impossible situation. And in this moment of desperation, a familiar blue aura begins to flicker around him. He surges forward, wrapped in that familiar blue energy. His fist connects with a sickening crunch, sending the goblin flying into its companion and shattering the stone floor. The remaining monsters can only watch in stunned silence. They stand guard by the altar, their confidence completely broken. But the larger beast slowly rises, its form trembling with rage. Yoon grabs a fallen club, readying himself for the real fight. The goblin leader's eyes glow with a furious red light. With a single powerful swing, Yoon brings the club down, ending the creature's threat in one decisive blow. With a final furious roar, he brings the club down hard. The remaining goblins can only watch from a distance, frozen in place. The creature's body slumps to the ground, the fight finally over. He stands over the defeated beast, catching his breath in the sudden silence. The last of the immediate threats now lies defeated at his feet. With the battle won, he turns his attention back to his surroundings. The last few goblins remain huddled by the altar, refusing to move. He finds it strange that they won't abandon their post, even in defeat. Exhausted, he slides down the cavern wall to take a much-needed rest. He realizes with a heavy heart that this world is not the one he remembers. His first thought is escape, wondering how he'll ever get out of this place. His eyes land on the glowing chalice, which seems strangely ordinary, but he knows he has to check it out just in case. He approaches the remaining goblins, getting their attention. With the bloody club in hand, he tells them to take it easy. He stands before them, the last obstacle between him and the altar. But as he gets closer, he sees there are actually 4 goblins guarding the prize. Outnumbered, he knows his only option is a swift, decisive attack. He plants his feet, ready to make his move, and explodes forward with a burst of speed, aiming to end this now. The lead goblin lets out a furious battle cry, ordering the others to attack. But Yoon is already a blur of motion, closing the distance in an instant. He brings the heavy club down with brutal efficiency. With a sharp grunt, he puts all his weight into the swing. The goblin barely has time to register the blow aimed right for its head. The impact is devastating, taking another enemy out of the fight. But a third goblin rushes in from the side, spear at the ready. The final 2 guards by the altar finally make their move, aiming their weapons. They hurl their spears with deadly intent, hoping to stop his advance. Yoon stands his ground, facing the incoming projectiles head-on. With a determined glare, he prepares to counter their attack. He uses one of the incoming spears as a vault. Grabbing it mid-flight with a firm grip, Yoon soars over their heads, turning their assault into an advantage. He lands perfectly, now armed with a spear of his own. With a powerful twist, he prepares to strike back. The spear finds its mark, taking down another goblin in a brutal counter. His face is splattered, but his eyes burn with cold fury. He pivots on his heel, already moving toward the final target. The last goblin can only stare back, a mix of rage and terror on its face. He brings the heavy club down with a final, devastating blow. With a furious cry, he puts every ounce of his strength into the attack, and slams the last goblin guard into the hard stone ground. The creature's eyes widen in a final moment of terror, before its body crashes into the floor, cracking the very rock beneath it. Yoon pins the creature down, its weak hands unable to push him away. He leans in close, his voice a low growl as he demands to know what's going on. To punctuate his question, he smashes the goblin's fist into the ground. He stands, exhausted but victorious, over the last of the guards. With the path finally clear, he takes a heavy step toward the altar. He stares at the chalice, wishing for a gate to appear. With a bit of hope, he reaches out and taps the golden cup. In an instant, a brilliant light erupts from the wall, forming an exit. He shields his eyes, momentarily blinded by the sudden flash. A familiar blue window pops up in front of him. It identifies the item as the Forgotten Chalice, a tool that purifies energy. Yoon sighs in frustration, annoyed by the god's cryptic methods. Stepping through the portal, he finds himself back on Earth, where paramedics are tending to a victim. The street is still a war zone, a grim reminder of the ongoing invasion. But his mission hasn't changed. He needs to find another gate to get back to his brother. He wanders the empty streets, wondering if the other gates have already been dealt with. A familiar voice cuts through the silence, noting he looks like he's been through hell. It's the old man, and Yoon immediately questions his presence. But the client has an offer, a way to restore Yoon's lost power. He begins to explain a new system that has emerged on Earth called Awakening. Mana from the other world has been flowing through the gates, unlocking the hidden potential within ordinary humans. These new heroes, the Awakeners, are the ones who have been fighting back the invasion. Yoon cuts straight to the point, asking how any of this helps him. The old man reveals the solution, a special single-person gate. The client holds up a glowing crystal, revealing he's also reactivated Yoon's inventory. Yoon questions how this is possible, but the old man admits he used all his remaining authority to make it happen. He calls it an essential item for finding his brother, though Yoon's expression remains skeptical. Our hero points out the obvious flaw: this crystal alone won't restore his lost strength. For that, the client tells him, he'll have to rely on the new system. But Yoon reminds him that he isn't an awakener, though the old man clarifies that even the gods are bound by these new rules. He then presents Yoon with a necklace, which will now serve as his direct line for both requests and rewards. The reward, he explains, will be the ability to use a limited version of his original powers. The client acknowledges Yoon must have questions, but insists they are both short on time. He gives Yoon his first destination, the Butterfly Forest, promising to explain the rest along the way. A quest window materializes, his first mission laid out before him. His destination is a remote village near the Butterfly Forest, west of the Bosque Kingdom. A shimmering blue gate rumbles to life in the dead of night, and from its depths, a single foot steps onto unfamiliar soil. Yoon emerges, the last remnants of the portal's energy swirling around him. He cautiously makes his way through the quiet, seemingly empty village. His expression is grim, his senses on high alert for any sign of trouble. But his arrival has not gone unnoticed, as a torch suddenly flares to life. A villager's face is illuminated by the flame, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. He quickly finds himself completely surrounded by the armed and wary townspeople. The entire village has turned out to meet him, their torches forming a hostile circle. Meanwhile, deep in the butterfly forest, an eerie blue light fills the air. Something darts through the undergrowth with incredible speed. A lone villager sprints through the glowing woods running for his life. He's desperate to get back and warn the others of the danger lurking in the dark. But his escape is cut short as he trips over a gnarled root. Before he can recover, a hooded figure descends with a brutal, glowing strike. The mysterious attacker stands over their victim, another body already lying still nearby. Elsewhere, another man finds himself staring up at a colossal, shadowy beast. He can only point in terror, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated fear. The forest is alive with the ethereal glow of countless blue butterflies. But on the ground, the circle of torches tightens around the lone stranger. The lead villager apologizes for the misunderstanding, explaining their caution is only natural. He then asks what business Yoon could possibly have in the forest. Yoon calmly explains that he's simply looking for someone. With the tension eased, the group begins to move as one. The villager stops, announcing that they've arrived at their destination. Before them lies the entrance to the infamous butterfly forest. The man offers to guide Yoon, insisting it's safer than going alone. He then begins to explain that the forest is known for its blue fluorescent mushrooms, a key ingredient for mana potions. The villager steps into the woods, explaining this is the only place the mushrooms grow. He says the forest was once a safe haven, a place to gather them without fear. But recently the butterflies have begun to attack anyone who touches the mushrooms. Yoon immediately suspects this is another symptom of the contamination. As he reaches for one, the villager quickly grabs his wrist. He warns Yoon not to touch them, explaining their wings are as sharp as blades. Yoon asks if the mushrooms are the problem, but his guide insists they're fine. The only conclusion is that the butterflies themselves have changed. With the warning given, they continue their trek into the eerie woods. Suddenly, a blur of motion rushes past them in the dark. Yoon turns to his guide, questioning why he wasn't warned about other monsters. Just then, a group of villagers come sprinting through the woods in a panic. His guide recognizes them, wondering what could have possibly happened. They meet the terrified group on the path, demanding to know what's wrong. The man explains that they were attacked by the butterflies. Yoon's guide is stunned, insisting the creatures have never been aggressive before. The other villager admits his greed for the mushrooms put them all in danger. When asked about a missing person, he says they'll have to wait until daylight to search. The guide's expression hardens, angered by the decision to leave someone behind. The villager then turns to Yoon, suggesting he abandon his search for the night as well. But Yoon dismisses the warning, insisting he doesn't have time to spare. He pushes deeper into the dark, treacherous woods, with his reluctant guide following close behind. His expression is set, focused only on finding the missing villager. They soon stumble upon a grim discovery on the forest floor. Yoon can hardly believe that mere butterflies could cause such a scene. He questions his guide again, but the man is just as shocked as he is. The guide finally admits that something far more dangerous might be lurking here. But Yoon's attention is already drawn to something else in the distance. He asks what's over there, his gaze fixed on a point beyond the trees. The guide senses a change in the air, noting that the atmosphere feels different. He explains this is the deepest part of the forest where it connects to the mountains. It's also the place where the valuable blue mushrooms grow in dense clusters. Yoon's mind is elsewhere, wondering if he'll find any trace of his brother here. He asks his guide if it's possible that monsters have descended from the mountains. The villager admits that while it's usually safe, he can't be certain anymore. With a determined look, Yoon decides they have to investigate further. The two of them press on, stepping into the heart of the eerie woods. But as they search, the guide notes there isn't a single clue to be found. Yoon stares at the glowing mushrooms, questioning if the contamination is powerful enough to erase all traces. But the guide suddenly stops, his hand raised in caution. Yoon asks what's wrong, and the man points to the trees around them. His eyes narrow, a flicker of concern in his gaze. He notes that there are far more butterfly droppings than usual. Yoon immediately questions if this is a sign of danger. The guide explains that normally it's just a light sprinkling here and there, but he's never seen it this thick, as they stare into a dense, glowing haze. Just then, a rustling sound echoes from the canopy above. The branches begin to shake violently, as if something massive is moving through them. The guide realizes with dawning horror that the very forest is changing around them. And in an instant, a swarm of blue butterflies erupts from the trees. The guide introduces himself. His name is Liam. Yoon warns him that it's about to get dangerous, and that he should turn back now. but Liam refuses, insisting he'll stay with Yoon until the very end. Yoon can only tell him that he can't guarantee his safety in this place. The air grows thick with tension as the butterflies surround them. Suddenly, Yoon's eyes narrow, his senses picking up a new presence. He confirms that something is coming, his gaze fixed on the darkness ahead. A blur of motion cuts through the glowing haze, moving with incredible speed. Liam can only curse in frustration, wondering what new horror this forest holds. Razor-sharp wings rain down from the sky like a volley of daggers. A colossal, monstrous butterfly descends, its red eyes glowing with menace. But Yoon simply smirks, recognizing the unexpected visitor. He leaps into the air, greeting an old acquaintance he calls Exotica. The creature's massive eye stares back as he notes that she hasn't changed a bit. This is Exotica, a powerful being he knows from his past. She is the administrator of the forest near the bosky plains, and the undisputed queen of the butterflies. But Yoon wonders why she's so far from her home territory. Before he can get an answer, a massive glowing leg comes crashing down. With a determined glare, Yoon throws a punch to block the attack. His fist connects with the creature's massive leg, stopping it dead in its tracks. Liam can only stare in disbelief, stunned that a mere human could block such a blow. But the sheer force of the impact sends Yoon skidding backwards through the dirt. Even Liam is thrown off balance by the powerful shockwave. Elsewhere in the forest, the mysterious hooded attacker finds his own foe to be surprisingly tough. Back with our hero, Exotica rears back, preparing to strike again with its bladed limbs. The attack misses its mark, shattering the ground where Yoon just stood. He leaps back, narrowly avoiding the devastating blow. The queen unleashes a barrage of projectiles, forcing both men to take cover. Yoon digs his heels in, sliding back from the sheer force of the blow. His first thought is for his guide, his eyes scanning the chaos for Liam. He's stunned to see the villager armed with a sword, questioning where it even came from. Liam stands his ground, ready to face the monstrous queen of the butterflies. But Yoon grabs him, pulling him back from a fight he can't possibly win. The villager can only stare in terror, completely out of his depth. Exotica brings its massive bladed wing down in a devastating strike. The ground shatters, leaving only a discarded sword and torch in the dust. A thick cloud of scales and debris fills the air, obscuring everything. Caught in the blast, Yoon coughs, struggling to see through the haze. As the dust settles, Yoon quickly silences the stunned villager. He tells Liam to run as far as he can while he creates a distraction. Liam hesitates, worried about leaving Yoon behind to face the beast alone. But Yoon is blunt, insisting that he'll only get in the way. His only job now is to get back to the village and warn the others. With that, a familiar blue energy erupts around him as he charges forward. Launching himself into the air, aiming straight for the colossal butterfly queen. He grits his teeth, preparing to unleash his attack. The impact sends a shockwave tearing through the forest floor. He remembers the old man's words, a promise that he'd be able to use a fraction of his original power. He wonders just how tiny this fraction of power really is. The old man's voice echoes in his mind, beginning to explain. As Yoon crashes back down to the forest floor, he realizes it was just enough to keep him from dying. Liam rushes to his side, shouting in concern. But Yoon screams at him to run to get away from the fight. The villager can only curse as he stares at the monstrous queen. He finally turns and flees, but Exotica's gaze is now fixed on him. Yoon struggles to his feet, calling out his old acquaintance's name. He looks up at the corrupted queen, wondering what could have possibly happened to her. He quickly opens his inventory, searching for anything that can help him. And he finds it, a massive collection of swords, all perfectly preserved. A familiar blue aura erupts around him as dozens of blades materialize from thin air. With a determined glare, he prepares to unleash his own brand of chaos. But Exotica's monstrous form reveals a terrifying, tooth-filled maw. Yoon launches himself forward, a blur of blue energy and righteous fury. A massive blade of pure power slams into the queen's leg, sending a shockwave through the forest. Elsewhere, the mysterious hooded figure grips his own glowing sword and unleashes a devastating attack on his unseen opponent. Back in the clearing, Yoon stands ready with a blade in hand, facing the colossal beast head-on. But his frustration grows. His attacks are barely scratching the corrupted queen. He plants his feet, realizing brute force isn't going to cut it this time. His eyes land on a glowing orb deep in the woods, the source of the problem. He notes the contamination is spreading faster than he anticipated. The glowing epicenter of the plague pulses with an unnatural energy. A grim thought crosses his mind. This could be an elaborate trap. He admits that in a straight fight he's completely outmatched. A new plan forms. Forget the monster, take out the contamination first. Dealing with Exotica will have to wait until he's solved the real mystery. But the queen has other ideas, bringing her bladed wing down on him. Yoon crashes to the ground, the force of the impact sending him skidding. He grits his teeth, pushing himself up with a pained, determined expression. His eyes glow with a fierce red intensity, fueled by desperation. With a surge of blue energy, Yoon launches himself forward, a blur of motion. But another devastating blow sends him flying, shattering the ground beneath him. He lies motionless amidst the glowing forest, utterly defeated and gasping for air. The ethereal blue light of the forest surrounds his still form. Yoon's face is bruised and bloodied, his eyes closed in exhaustion. His hand rests weakly on the forest floor, covered in dirt and debris. Slowly, he pushes himself to his feet, turning his back to the glowing woods. He stands before a glowing pool, the colossal butterfly queen looming over him. But even battered and bruised, his gaze remains unbroken. Just then, the necklace around his neck begins to glow with a faint purple light. A system window appears, confirming he's found the source of the contamination. His new mission is clear: defeat Exotica and claim his reward. The system offers him 10% of his original power for just 10 minutes. As the queen prepares a devastating attack, he's faced with a choice. The system simply asks if he's ready to use it. With a surge of power, his eyes ignite with a familiar blue glow. And in the darkness, a single line of pure energy cuts through the air. The queen's massive wing is severed in a single clean strike. It crashes to the forest floor, twitching in its final moments. Exotica can only stare at its wound, stunned by the sudden turn of events. Yoon wonders aloud if 10 minutes will be enough to finish this. The queen's eye glows with a furious, burning rage. But our hero stands his ground, ready for the beast's retaliation. He explodes forward, the ground shattering under the force of his restored power. With a burst of speed, he closes the distance in an instant. He takes a sharp breath, his focus absolute. And with a grim smile, he realizes this might just be enough to win. He quickly formulates a plan: take out the legs, then go for the core. With his sword held high, he prepares to execute his strategy. But the colossal queen takes to the sky, hovering just out of reach. He can only watch in frustration as his target moves to a new vantage point. The corrupted queen reveals a horrifying new weapon, a mass of writhing tentacles. They lash out with incredible speed, aiming to overwhelm him. He finds himself completely surrounded by the unexpected assault. The ground erupts as the bladed appendages slam down all around him. He weaves through the deadly barrage, dodging each strike with practiced ease, but he can't help but feel that this fight is getting a little ridiculous. He continues to weave through the relentless barrage of attacks, but instead of retreating, he summons a volley of glowing blue blades. With a surge of power, he unleashes them all at once, his eyes burning with a cold, focused intensity. The blades streak through the air, a storm of pure energy. They find their mark, erupting in a massive explosion against the queen. The blast fills the air with a thick cloud of smoke and dust. But from the haze, another wave of attacks comes hurtling down. Yoon can only look on in frustration, realizing the beast won't give him a moment's rest. He knows that at this rate he'll never win unless he can find a way to drag it back to the ground. So he unleashes a new strategy, a flurry of glowing blue tendrils. He becomes the center of a swirling vortex of energy, his eyes fixed on his airborne target. Planting his sword firmly in the ground as an anchor, he prepares to drag the queen from the sky. The tendrils find their mark, wrapping around Exotica's massive form. He calls out her name, pulling her closer to that horrifying maw. With a bit of dark humor, he questions her dental hygiene, as he's dragged headfirst into the belly of the beast. But with a cold apology, he reveals this was his plan all along. From inside the beast, a single brilliant line of energy appears. Yoon holds his blade steady, preparing to slice his way out. He's still trapped by the queen's inner workings, but his path is clear. And with one final push, he tears the colossal creature in two. He lands hard, clutching an arm that's clearly taken some damage. He stands alone in the now quiet forest, the blue glow all that remains. His attention turns to the source of the contamination, a colossal glowing mushroom. He wonders if the corrupted queen knew what she was guarding all along. But with no answers to be found, he can only focus on the task at hand. He reaches out, knowing he can't solve this mystery without understanding how it all began. Yoon receives a system notification, confirming the detection of contamination energy. He questions the notification, holding the glowing chalice in his hand. The system confirms it's beginning the absorption and purification process. Inside the chalice, the blue energy swirls, actively purifying the contamination. Yoon asks for clarification, hoping it's only taking the contamination. A massive blue energy field erupts around the colossal mushroom, drawing power into the chalice. The chalice glows intensely, now brimming with pure, uncorrupted energy. With the mushroom gone, Yoon stands over a cracked circle on the ground, the forest now quiet. He looks at his hand, wondering if the ordeal is finally over. His bruised face shows his exhaustion as he questions the promised reward. The ancient chalice, its purpose fulfilled, crumbles into dust. He approaches the fallen queen, sensing there's more to this story. Young Won demands to know what really happened here. Suddenly, strange blue tendrils erupt from the ground, snaring his feet. He's caught completely off guard as the tendrils wrap tightly around him. The monstrous form of Exotica dissolves into a cloud of ethereal blue particles. From the light emerges her true, beautiful form, greeting the contractor by name. Young-won gives a casual wave, complimenting her on being beautiful again. She begins to tell him a story from a time long past, a tale of 13 ancient trials born from the depths of the abyss. The system explains that these were beings meant to plunge the world into chaos, represented by a swirling vortex of dark, ominous energy. But Yoon's very existence as the hero of melancholy had forced them into hiding. Yoon, still bruised, questions if they've reappeared now that he's retired. A new divine figure, an ethereal woman with horns, commands him to regain his power and return the trials to the abyss. She declares that this is the destiny the world has chosen for him, before vanishing in a burst of light. Yoon stares, annoyed that they simply deliver demands and then disappear. He looks around the now normal butterfly forest, wondering if it has returned to its peaceful state. A quest window confirms he has completed the mission, and his reward is being issued. The notice reveals he can now use 30% of his original power for 7 minutes. And just like that, a new quest appears, tasking him with finding the missing lord of the Bosky Kingdom. Back in the now peaceful forest, Yoon finds his guide, Liam, passed out at the base of a tree. He wakes the man up, questioning why he's still here when he was told to run. The once vicious butterflies now flutter harmlessly through the air. But Liam is still trapped in his fear, screaming for the creatures to get away. Yoon calmly tells him to stop panicking and get to his feet. The guide can't believe his casual tone, insisting they're still being attacked. But as he looks around, he sees the butterflies are no longer a threat. Yoon explains that their goal was never to hurt anyone, only to keep them away from danger. He then asks if anyone was ever actually seriously injured by them, letting one land gently on his finger. Liam slowly realizes that Yoon was right all along. He asks what happened to the monster, and Yoon simply tells him it's been handled. He assures them the forest is back to normal, and the mushrooms will soon grow again. Back at the village, the others rush out, having heard the commotion from the woods. Liam dismisses their concerns, insisting he's fine despite a few scratches. He confirms that the forest is safe now, and they can all return soon. But the lead villager asks about the stranger who was with him, fearing the worst. Liam explains that the person Yoon was searching for wasn't in the forest. He says that Yoon didn't have time to waste and went straight for the plains. And just like that, our hero is gone, already on his way to the next destination. But just as he's making his way through the woods, a system notice confirms that his temporary power boost has expired. The sudden loss of strength sends him stumbling to the ground, the last of his borrowed power leaving his body. He can only lie there, noting how quickly the time passed. The exhaustion from the battle finally catches up to him. He considers his next reward, realizing a 30% power boost means the next mission will be even more dangerous. His mind races, already anticipating a potential clash with a figure named Maracas. But before he can plan any further, he's interrupted by a new, immediate threat. A sharp blade is suddenly pressed against his throat. A mysterious warrior stands over him, insisting she's not a threat. She questions if he was the one she sensed moving at incredible speed just moments ago. Her gaze is sharp and analytical, trying to size him up. But Yoon can only laugh, completely unfazed by the blade that was just at his throat. Deciding he's no enemy, the woman sheathes her sword. She turns and simply tells him to follow her. With little choice, Yoon gets to his feet, ready to see where this goes. She leads him to a small hidden encampment deep within the woods. As they approach the campfire, a voice calls out in greeting. A group of mercenaries welcome the woman, Claire, back from her scouting mission. Claire reports that she found nothing unusual on her patrol, but the leader of the group questions where she picked up the stranger. She insists that there's nothing off about Yoon at all. The man offers him a seat by the fire, telling him to get warm. The campfire crackles in the center of their small encampment. Yoon joins the group, trying to gauge the situation. He takes a drink, his eyes still wary of his new companions. Their weapons and gear are scattered around the campsite. Nearby, simple carts hold all of their supplies. Yoon's eyes widen slightly as he realizes he stumbled upon a group of mercenaries. The red-bearded leader explains that his group is currently working as escorts for a merchant caravan. He then questions if they are being too trusting of a stranger, looking directly at Yoon. Yoon, looking wary, wonders if they truly believe he couldn't win against them. The leader smirks, acknowledging Yoon's implied caution. Two other mercenaries, a man and a woman, stare at Yoon with glowing red eyes and sinister smiles. The leader and the two mercenaries all reveal their glowing red eyes, hinting at their true nature. Yoon realizes with a jolt that these individuals are all monsters in human form. The leader then adds that they trust Claire, his gaze fixed and intense. Yoon takes another drink, sitting silently beside Claire, processing this unsettling revelation. The leader then asks Yoon what he was doing out so late, his fist clenching with sudden, powerful force. The leader leans in, asking if Yoon is somehow connected to the Demon King's army. Yoon calmly explains that he was simply on his way to the plains. Another mercenary questions his timing, finding his destination suspicious. Our hero asks if there's some kind of problem with his travel plans. The leader strokes his beard, considering how much to reveal. He explains that a mysterious blight is spreading across the plains, making them unlivable. The other man adds that even the villages near the royal castle have been abandoned. He admits their escort job was just an excuse for the group to flee the area. Yoon realizes this blight is the contamination, and the quest is following his brother's trail. Elsewhere inside a large tent, the merchants they're escorting prepare for the night. The merchant traces a path on the map, pointing out the blighted areas. He confirms that the kingdom's blight is now almost beyond recovery. Their plan is to rest near the forest before crossing the border into another country. He considers their escape options, weighing a sea route from a nearby port. With the route decided, he carefully rolls up the map. The mercenary leader laughs, realizing Yoon is completely unaware of the situation. He admits he'd initially suspected Yoon was part of the Demon King's forces. Now he turns to Yoon and asks who he really is. Just then, the merchant emerges from his tent, asking about their new guest. He looks at Yoon with a surprised and questioning expression. The merchant's question catches Yoon completely off guard. The man, who he now sees has pointed ears, asks if he's a hero. Yoon's eyes widen in disbelief as he recognizes the merchant, calling him Roel. The unexpected reunion hangs in the air of the quiet forest encampment.